Alright, so season 34 kickoff. We're up against PBT to start the season off. And I talked a little bit about this in the last video of last season's. I think that's the last video on my channel. My goal at this point in Alliance War is just if I could just get through a season without dying. It would just... I don't know. It's just on my personal checklist, I just want to do it for myself. And I've learned over the many years I've been playing Alliance War and planning for it that, at least for a player of my skill, which, is probably somewhere around the halfway point or maybe the bottom half of 4 Loki, getting through a season without dying is all about preparation, sniffing out everything that could go wrong in a fight and making sure that I'm mentally prepared to deal with that circumstance if it happens. So, last season I died twice, in one fight I just didn't execute. I got flustered. There was a lot of stuff going on. That was the Nova fight with Cosmic Ghost Rider. I used Cosmic Ghost Rider when I had Apocalypse, who was a better option for that fight, as some people had pointed out in the comment section of that video. And then later in the season, a couple wars later, I died again to Hulkbuster on Conflictor using Doctor Doom. I was not prepared for that fight or that interaction. I totally betrayed my mantra and everything that, I know that I need to do if I'm going to get through a season without dying. So here we go. War number 1. After a couple week break, I am incredibly excited to get to this war. And yeah, I just feel like after, I think that my second death of last season happened in War 4 or 5. So, I had a good stretch there where, I got rolling. I kind of felt really good, and people weren't banning Quake. I was able to use Quake, and we thought coming into this season that everybody was going to be banning Quake, and they did not ban Quake. So I knew that I was going to get Quake fights. I just really felt good with Quake all of last season. And I also frequently use Quake and Alliance quests still for a couple of my paths. So, I'm regularly practiced with her and all that stuff. So I'm feeling great coming into this war. Now, this first fight against Sim Supreme, I was a little bit worried about. I did some duels, and because this has power struggle, and because basically he's going to be gaining power kind of at his own rate, his own native ability rate. It's not going to be affected by combat power. So it's pretty good placement here. What I need to do is be patient, and I don't want to expend all of my strike counter hits before he gets to a bar of power, and then he's gaining Furies because I can't throw a special because he hasn't gotten to a bar yet. So I am literally going to just buy time, and I'm just going to wait out his native power gain. Now, basically, he has like he gains power slowly over the course of the fight at a steady rate. And then also, when he reaches his next genetic blessing, then he also gains a burst of power. So I know that. I know, when he's going to get it, and I just need to make sure that I can chain my combos into hits there. So there he gets all the way back up to second bar of power, which is perfect. I can just chain my SB1 again, and there we go. So it went really smoothly. I think going into that fight, if I wasn't prepared, it could have gotten a little bit ugly, but we're good. So I did lose a little bit of health. I started that fight with the Bleed Suicide, as I often do with Apocalypse, just to gain that immunity if I'm taking a fight that could really rough me up if I don't have the Bleed immunity. And Domino is one of those. I like to have the Bleed immunity against Domino just in case something happens and she hits me with like an SP3 or an SP2 or something like that. Now, I did make one tactical mistake in this fight. I think it was a mistake. It's not really a big deal. But I used an invulnerability boost, and on the strike counter nodes, I just think that it's a lot smarter depending on who you're fighting. Especially, you know, if it's not like a power gain, like a heavy power gain defender. I think it's a smart idea to just use the Power Start 1 boost so that you don't really have to worry about your hits as much. You know, you'll always start with that bar of power that you can use if you need to, just to prevent them from building up a bunch of passive fury. So she has gotten 1 fury here, not a huge deal. I'm paying attention to my strike counters. And, you know, I know at this point that I'm going to get through the fight fine. I throw the SP1 while she's lucky, a little bit risky, but we're able to get through it. And now we've got a built up, fully ramped up Apocalypse. And, yeah, so pretty good. And then I think I have, what is this? All right, I'm also going to be taking that Dr. Doom here. So using Apocalypse again. Yeah, I mean, you guys have seen me take this fight quite often. This video is long enough. I honestly probably should have sped this one up, but it's not, you know, it's not too long of a fight. So I'm using the 150% mutant boost because the 200s haven't come into the store in quite some time, and I have several of the 150s and the 12% damage boosts in overflow because when they came in, I overstocked those. So, but I know that I can manage this fight. I just want to try to limit my mistakes. Really, I think against Doom, depending on the degree of the mistake, you get 2 to 3. And I am going to make a mistake in this fight, so, but that's okay. All right, just wasting time here. My goodness. This happens every war video because I don't actually watch through the clips when I'm editing the clips together. I just slap them, you know, onto the end of each other. That's basically it. So, all right, this node does have heal block, which doesn't really matter. But I want to get that disorient debuff on myself. I'm able to get that intercept, and I totally blow it, but he does, fortunately, heavy, which is good. And I'm just trying to buy time until Stun Reflect goes on cooldown. Now it's on cooldown. I can safely land a parry, and I just wanted to make sure that I could get to my SP2 before he could throw his SP1, because if he throws his SP1, he gets the Aura of Hazareth, then I won't be able to throw a special or knock him down without him being able to instantly punish me. And that's just not something you want to mess around with on this node. Alright, I'm going to throw my SP1 just to get the 4 debuffs, and I'm going to try to get an in here to, to heavy so that I can refresh my debuffs, and there I just missed a parry. So I missed a parry. I'm not blaming that one on input issues. I don't think that it was an input issue. I just missed the parry. He fortunately only smacked me, you know, he only hit me once before smacking me, which I appreciated. But we got through it. Alright, so this next fight, Weapon X, we've got Hazard Shift, Shock, and Bleed. I've used Apocalypse with the Odin buffs for this fight before, and it's fine. I had the option of bringing Odin for myself, but I only had a 4-star Odin. So I was like, you know what, I've got Silver Centurion, never get to use him, let me use him. So before I show you this war fight, I'm just going to show you this, what I would consider like a duel or whatever, and I think it is back issues 2.1, using my Silver Centurion here. And the cool thing about this is Silver Centurion's passive heal block. There I screw that up a little bit, but you guys can kind of see that Silver Centurion is really a really good option for Weapon X. And, you know, there are a lot of great options for Weapon X, but when they put Weapon X on Strike Counter, or I'm sorry, Hazard Shift, Shock, and Bleed, and the One Eye Open node, you can't Quake him here, because the, you know, the Quake's damage, Aftershock damage, will get reflected while they're stunned. It's really good placement. We've seen it here before. Again, you can use Apocalypse, but Apocalypse still has to play around his regen. and his regen gets a little bit crazy. So you have to pretty much out-damage it with specials, which Apocalypse is going to be able to do boosted anyway, but Silver Centurion doesn't have to worry about that. So we're just going to keep refreshing our lock-on by throwing the SP1. There we don't have to worry about Berserk. I do just want to bait this SP1 out. And I guess not. And then, yeah, I don't know. All right, so game over for him. And I was like, all right, that was like a perfect version of this fight. This is going to be super easy. I've fought Weapon X a lot over the years in Alliance War. Very, very comfortable fighting him. So this was after a break. I believe was it after a break? I can't remember if I took a break after the Doom fight, but well, anyway. All right, so this fight is going to be a pretty sloppy fight here. So I'm not going to punish that time, which is fine. Everything is going well so far. I should not have thrown that SP1 because he goes Berserk. I pushed him over 25 rage stacks, and then I don't know if that one was actually an input issue, or if I was just late to Dex, but I was late to Dex. It was one of those two, but I didn't Dex. So, all right. So now we're good. We are bleed immune. We're shock immune as long as we have an armor. So that's fine. I'm able to intercept him. I'm going to activate my lock on here with that SP1. He is unblockable. Do a little dash back. All right. So it's just a sloppy fight. It's just a sloppy fight. So the back half of this war, this fight is going to go very, very smoothly. So this one is sped up quite a bit. You guys have seen me take Cersei with Quake a couple times last season. So I'm not going to make you sit through however long it actually took in real time. But the back half of this war was just really sloppy for me. I tend to do this in War 1s of the season. And, some of it is probably just not having that kind of high-tension practice in the off-season, although in a lot of off-season wars, I do treat them like they were season wars. I boost a little bit usually. I don't run suicides usually. Like, I take them seriously because I know that a player of my skill needs those reps, meaningful reps. There are players that can just totally ignore off-season, come into season, and right out of the gate, they're just in top form. I am not one of those players. I never have been. And again, I've recognized over the years that the key for me to be successful in Alliance War, for me to have consistency in Alliance War, is to over-prepare and make sure that I'm getting reps in. So I do probably a lot more duels than a lot of people just because I need those repetitions. I need the muscle memory to help me out in some cases. So, okay, so I have half of this fight sped up, and that should cue you in to the fact that this fight there's going to be some issues, and one of them, unfortunately, is an input issue, and you guys are going to see that. It's pretty clear, and it's coming up right about here. So he backs up, and yeah, I just stand there. So I lose, 50% of my health to that one error. I think he only 3-pieced me too. So I got lucky that he didn't do a full 5-hit combo. That was just a nerves issue. Like, oh my god, I can't believe this is happening. That's okay though. Just bait out the SP1. Then you can go back to quaking. And then towards the end of this fight, he's low enough that I just want to get out of the fight. So when he is stunned, because I have 3 bars of power, I am going to go ahead and just throw the heavy, and then I'm going to chain a combo. And if that combo didn't kill him, I would have thrown the SP3, and that would have killed him. So the input issue that really messed me up a little bit, and then I just accidentally let off a heavy. And yeah, I don't know. I was happy to get out of that fight, and it's so hard when you're in the zone for war. A mistake like that, I'm thinking to myself, all right, I only made one mistake in that fight, and then the other issue that caused the biggest risk there was not really my fault. However, you know, in hindsight, maybe it's a situation where if I don't know. I was feeling fine is the point. You know, I had a perfect Quake fight against Cersei right before that Sasquatch. And then I just had the one mistake against Sasquatch, but I attributed that to the dex or the input issue. So anyway, I should have taken probably a little bit of time. I didn't. I should have gone back in and dueled America Chavez. I did duel her several times prior to going in for my fights, but I should have taken a break to duel her again before this fight. But I had the indestructible boost on, and that's ultimately why I was like, no, I'm good. And here you guys can see, I mean, it's just a complete train wreck. And then, you know, now at this point I'm like, all right, I need to just bait out this SP1, and I just get heavied. So there it is. There will not be a perfect season this season. And I am very aware of the likelihood that I will probably never have a perfect season because, again, I do feel like there's just so much variance. There's so many, probably literally millions of little nuances that go into war fights across a season. Just player mood, how they're feeling, confidence, input. I mean, it's just there's just so many different factors that it really is a feat to go through a season without dying. And there are players who have gone through multiple seasons in a row without dying. And to me, that is the most incredible accomplishment because that requires just an absolute pinnacle of focus. And, you know, also a little bit of luck and stuff like that. There are just so many factors. So I'm probably never going to have a perfect season. I do have this this cleanup fight sped up here. It is not perfect as well. There you guys can see I've taken another heavy. And I'm going to lose a little bit more health in this fight. But, you know, this one ended up a little bit more like the duels that I had. You know, this placement is very good for America Chavez. We considered sending Ghost, but in my opinion, Quake is the safest option. Because again, the number of layers that you have to consider and manage they're zero with Quake. I mean, the layer is Quake. As long as you can Quake a stun immune defender, you can Quake this fight. It's just about your rhythm, your familiarity with the defender, and executing. So I think that Quake is the right call, and I would encourage Lizer to send Quake again to this fight. It might be Mad Cat, not myself, but it's the right matchup, and yeah, I don't know, I just fucked it up. So, all right, that is it for the first war of the season. We are 7-1 on the season. It is always brutal to lose your last fight as well. Just having to wait that 48 hours, it is just rough, and this was probably one of the worst reactions that I've had to one of my in-season deaths that I can remember. I was completely off of the game for about 16 hours until I had to do some Alliance quests, and then I was off the game again for, I don't know, another 8 hours or so, place defense, and I didn't even speak or say anything to anybody for, I think, over a day. So, you know, it sucks, but yeah, we're a couple days removed from it at this point. We've got the war number 2 is under our belt, and so yeah, we start to kind of just rebuild the confidence and go from there. But anyway, that is it, guys. Thanks for watching this 20-minute long video. If you made it this far, leave a like and a comment. I will have War 2 up here in the next couple days, and that is it.